The SKS rifle, which stands for Self-Loading Carbine of the Simonov System, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. The SKS is a semi-automatic rifle that's featured in Insurgency Sandstorm, which is what you're watching in the background. I really enjoyed the gun in the game, and I figured I'd showcase it in the gameplay and give you a small background on it because it's a gun with some interesting history. The SKS is one of those guns that sits right between old school bolt actions and the fully automatic weapons that came after it. A real bridge between eras, if you will. During the final years of World War II, the Soviet Union was coming out of one of the most brutal conflicts in its history, and the weaponry needed an upgrade. They had the Mosin Nagant, a solid rifle, no doubt, but it was a bolt-action design that had been around since the late 1800s. The world was moving towards semi-automatic rifles, and the Soviets didn't want to be left behind. That's where Sergei Simonov comes in. He had already been working on semi-automatic rifle designs, but the SKS was his breakthrough. Chambered in 7.62 by 39, the same round that would later make the AK-47 famous, the SKS was compact, easy to use, and a very reliable gun. It had a gas-powered operated system, a fixed magazine, and a folding bayonet, making it a well-suited weapon for its time. Introduced in 1945, the SKS was officially adopted by the Soviet military. And for a brief period, it was the standard issue rifle. But here's the twist. It didn't stay in that role for very long. Just a few years later, the AK-47 was developed. The AK-47 was considered vastly superior to the SKS for several reasons. It was automatic, it was more compact than the SKS. The AK-47 is famously known as one of the most reliable weapons of all time, and of course, for those reasons, the Soviet Union adopted it for military use. Compared to that, the SKS seemed outdated almost instantly, so the Soviets phased it out of their frontline services pretty quickly. But don't think for a second that the rifle was a failure. Quite the opposite. The SKS spread across the world, finding new life in the hands of different militaries. China, for example, produced their own version, the Type 56. Yugoslavia had their own unique models. Vietnam, Romania, East Germany, they all had variations of the SKS. It wasn't just some relic collecting dust. The rifle was still being used in real conflicts. If you look at wars throughout the second half of the 20th century, you'll find SKS rifles littered everywhere. The Vietnam War, plenty of SKS rifles were being used by the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces. The Balkans conflict, same thing there. Because it was so simple and durable, it remained a go-to weapon for militias, guerrilla fighters, and even some regular armies long after the Soviets had moved on from it. Now, fast forward to today. The SKS still hasn't disappeared yet. It's a favorite among firearm collectors. It's affordable compared to a lot of other historic rifles. It's also incredibly well built, meaning even decades-old models can still function just fine with basic maintenance. In some parts of the world, the SKS is still in active use. That's pretty crazy to think about when you consider that it first came out in 1945. It's been nearly 80 years, and this rifle continues to make an impact. That speaks just to how good Simonov's design was. Simple, functional, and built to last. So, while it didn't get to be the dominant battlefield rifle for the Soviet Union like the AK-47 did, the SKS earned its place in history. It's a rifle that connected past and present, was used and modified by various nations around the world, and was cheap, rugged, and reliable. In Insurgency Sandstorm, however, the SKS is a pretty versatile weapon, especially if you're accurate. For me, I like to play it more as a DMR, trying to keep my distance and pick guys off. Like in real life, it's chambered in 7.62 by 39, so you're dropping guys in about a shot or two, and you can pick up ammo from the AK-47. By default, it comes with a 20-round magazine, but can be upgraded to 30 rounds for an extended magazine. And it's got a pretty moderate level of recoil, 15 horizontal and 30 vertical. If you can keep that gun down and just remain accurate, you can really make it work for you. That's about it for the video, though. Thanks for sticking around. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe.